In the golden heart of Africa, where the sun rose like a crown of fire over endless savannas, there lived a young woman so beautiful that even the rivers paused their flowing, and the wind itself seemed to hush when she walked by. Every villager admired her, praised her, and bowed to her beauty. Yet no one knew that one day, a single mirror would whisper a truth that would shake her world forever. The village of Kalora was unlike any other in the region. Nestled between two mountains and fed by a river that sparkled like silver, it was a place where stories lived longer than people, and traditions carried heavier weight than stones. In this village lived Amara, a young maiden whose beauty had become a legend. Her skin was as radiant as polished ebony under the African sun. Her eyes, wide and deep, shimmered like twin pools of midnight touched with starlight. Her hair, coiled and black, fell down her shoulders like a flowing river of silk. And when she walked, it was as if the earth itself sighed with pride. Men traveled from distant lands just to catch a glimpse of her. Women, though sometimes jealous, couldn't deny that Amara's beauty was rare, almost unearthly. Children would point at her and whisper stories that perhaps she was a gift from the gods themselves. Everywhere she went, admiration followed her like a shadow. Songs were composed about her. Traders gifted her jewels and silks in hopes of winning her smile. And in the eyes of the village elders, she was a promise that her beauty would bring honor, fortune, and alliances to Kalora. But beauty, as the old griots used to say, is a double-edged spear. It dazzles, but it cuts as well. Amara grew up hearing one thing again and again: "You are the most beautiful girl in all of Africa." At first, she would blush and hide her face, but as she grew older, the praise became her second skin. She began to expect it, crave it, and live for it. Wherever she walked, she noticed eyes trailing her. When voices did not rise in admiration, she felt uneasy. A silence without praise felt like an insult. Slowly, her heart began to harden in strange ways. When her childhood friends spoke of their dreams, of becoming healers, farmers, or storytellers, Amara only smiled faintly. She did not need dreams, she thought. Her beauty was enough. The elders often reminded her, "Amara, your face is a blessing, but blessings must be carried with humility." She would nod, but inside she wondered, why should she humble herself when she had been chosen by nature to shine brighter than all? One season, a caravan of traders arrived from the coastal lands, bringing with them exotic spices, ivory combs, colorful fabrics, and something the villagers had never seen before: a mirror. It was small, framed in bronze, and polished so perfectly that it captured every detail of a person's face. The villagers gathered around it in awe. Some laughed nervously at their reflections. Others gasped, touching their cheeks as though they had seen a stranger. But when Amara looked into the mirror, something strange happened. She saw herself, yes, the flawless skin, the sparkling eyes, the perfect lips. But as she leaned closer, for the briefest moment, she thought she saw a crack in the reflection. A faint shadow, like a scar, flashed across her face. She blinked and it was gone. The villagers clapped and cheered at her reflection, calling her a goddess. But Amara could not shake the unease. For the first time in her life, the mirror did not flatter her. It questioned her. Every year, Kalora celebrated the Festival of Beauty, a grand event where maidens displayed their grace through song, dance, and attire. It was not just about looks. It was about the harmony of spirit, heart, and appearance. But to the villagers, there was no suspense. Amara would win, she always did. That year, however, Amara was restless. Though she prepared with the finest beads, the richest cloth, and the most fragrant oils, her mind kept returning to that fleeting shadow in the mirror. She convinced herself it was nothing, yet fear whispered at the edges of her pride. On the day of the festival, the drums thundered through the air. The maidens danced, sang, and dazzled the crowd. When Amara stepped forward, silence fell like a curtain. Her beauty outshone everyone, and once again the chants began. "Amara! Amara! Amara!" But then, as the elder brought forth the mirror, a tradition of the festival to show each maiden her inner beauty, Amara's world stopped. When she looked into the mirror this time, She did not see the radiant face that everyone adored. She saw something darker. Her eyes looked colder, her smile sharper, her face not of warmth but of arrogance. Behind her beauty lay vanity, envy, and a hunger for praise. She gasped and nearly dropped the mirror. The crowd laughed, thinking she was merely overwhelmed by her own reflection. But Amara's heart raced. For the first time she wondered, had her beauty become her curse? That night, unable to sleep, Amara sought out Mama Keba, the oldest griot of Kalora, a storyteller so ancient her hair was as white as cowrie shells. Amara confessed everything. The shadow in the mirror, the unsettling reflection at the festival, the fear that beauty was slipping into something else. Mama Keba listened silently, then spoke with the slow weight of wisdom. Child, beauty is like a river. It can quench thirst, but it can also drown. You have been worshipped for your face. But what of your soul? The mirror does not lie. It shows not just the skin, but the spirit within. Amara trembled. But everyone loves me. They sing for me, they honor me. Mama Keba leaned closer. Do they love you, or do they love the mask that beauty wears? You must learn this truth, or the mirror will keep showing you what you wish not to see. The words haunted Amara. Days passed, but she could not shake the reflection. Every time she glimpsed her shadow in the river, the polished bronze of her jewelry, or even the still water in a clay pot, she thought she saw that darker version of herself staring back. Her laughter grew less genuine. Her smiles became forced. And though everyone still adored her, she began to feel lonelier than she ever had. Then came whispers, rumors of another maiden from a neighboring village, a girl said to possess beauty that rivaled Amara's. The villagers buzzed with curiosity. Amara burned with silent rage. What if the songs stopped? What if the admiration faded? She found herself returning to the mirror, staring for hours, desperate to see her true self. But the longer she looked, the stranger the reflection became. And it was then that the mirror began to whisper. Late one night, Amara sat before the bronze-framed mirror, the moonlight casting silver streaks across her hut. The village slept, but her eyes were wide and restless. She stared at her reflection, hoping to see only the flawless face the world adored. Instead, the mirror shimmered strangely. Her reflection's lips moved, though Amara herself was silent. The mirror spoke. You are admired, Amara, it whispered, voice like wind brushing dry grass. But admiration is not love. They honor your skin, not your spirit. Look closer. Her reflection's eyes grew darker, colder, as though the beauty she carried had been twisted by pride and vanity. Amara stumbled back, her breath shallow. No, she muttered, clutching her chest. That is not me. But deep inside she feared it was. Not long after, news spread across Kalora. A maiden from the neighboring village of Nyanda had arrived. Her name was Zalika, and the villagers gasped at her beauty. Unlike Amara's sharp, dazzling brilliance, Zalika's beauty was gentle, like sunlight through morning mist. Her laughter carried warmth. Her eyes seemed to listen when people spoke. She had no jewels, no fine cloth, yet wherever she went people felt peace. For the first time, Amara noticed something terrifying. The songs of the children, the whispers of the traders, the admiration of the elders. Some of it was drifting toward Zalika. Though Amara still shone like a flame, Zalika was the cool shade beneath a tree. And people were beginning to prefer the shade. Soon, a festival was declared to unite the villages of Kalora and Nyanda. Amara and Zalika both were chosen to represent their people. That evening, as drums roared and dancers spun beneath torches, the crowd gathered, eager to see which maiden would win their hearts. Amara wore gold beads and crimson cloth that shimmered with each step. Zalika wore a simple white dress and carried nothing but a smile. When Amara danced, the people gasped at her grace, at how perfectly her body moved. When Zalika sang, the crowd fell silent, their hearts stirred by the tenderness in her voice. The two maidens shone differently, but in the reflection of the crowd's eyes, Amara saw something she had never seen before: doubt. At the end of the festival, the elders brought forth the mirror, the same one that haunted Amara. Each maiden was asked to look inside. Zalika stepped forward first. When she gazed into the mirror, her reflection smiled back, glowing with kindness. The villagers clapped, murmuring, "Her beauty runs deep." Then it was Amara's turn. She forced confidence into her stride, lifting her chin. She stared into the glass, praying to see her usual flawless reflection. But the mirror was merciless. Her reflection sneered. Her eyes burned with jealousy. Her face twisted into something sharp and cruel. The villagers gasped. Amara dropped the mirror, shattering it against the ground. The fragments scattered, and in each piece, her darker self stared back at her. The crowd erupted in whispers. Some pitied her, others feared her. Amara fled into the night, her beauty finally broken. Not by time, not by age, but by the truth the mirror revealed. For days, Amara wandered the wilderness, away from the applause, away from the whispers. Her once proud walk was now weary. She found herself at the hut of Mama Keba, the griot, who welcomed her without judgment. "Child," the old woman said gently, "do you understand now?" Tears streamed down Amara's face. "I thought beauty was enough. I thought if everyone admired me I would be happy. But I was wrong. They loved a mask, not me." Mama Keba placed a wrinkled hand on hers. "Beauty is a gift, but without humility, compassion, and kindness, it becomes an empty shell. The mirror did not curse you, Amara. It freed you. It showed you what you were becoming, so you may choose who you wish to be." Amara stayed with Mama Keba for many moons, learning old stories, helping heal the sick, and listening to the wisdom of the ancestors. Slowly, the darkness in her reflection began to fade. When she laughed with children, it was not to be admired, but to share joy. When she worked in the fields, it was not to be noticed, but to serve. Her beauty remained, but it no longer ruled her. It became just one part of her, like her voice, her hands, her spirit. One evening, Mama Keba brought forth a shard of the broken mirror. "Look," she said. Amara hesitated, then leaned in. This time she saw herself as she truly was, still radiant, but with softness in her eyes, humility in her smile. And for the first time in her life, Amara smiled at her own reflection, not because others admired it, but because she finally understood it. When Amara returned to Kalora, the villagers were surprised. They expected arrogance, but instead she greeted them with kindness, helped the women fetch water, and played with the children without concern for admiration. Some still remembered the shattered mirror, but slowly, they began to admire her not only for her beauty, but for her heart. Zalika, too, embraced her as a sister, not a rival. Together, the two maidens became symbols, not of vanity or competition, but of what true beauty meant in the heart of Africa. Years later, the story of Amara was told by griots across the land. They spoke of a maiden so beautiful that the world bowed to her face, until a mirror revealed the truth of her soul. The tale carried a lesson for all, that beauty may draw eyes, but only character holds hearts. And so, whenever the children of Africa gazed into water, polished stone, or the shine of bronze, they whispered to themselves, "May the mirror tell me the truth, not of my face but of my spirit."